Dad broke our deal, invited my abuser to dinner, then all hell broke loose. Now he's begging for a second chance while I'm considering marriage counseling. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for taking down my posts. I was really upset and felt under a lot of pressure and needed space to think without constant messages. Some of you are trying to be helpful and I appreciate that, but some of the abusive messages I received was terrible. I'm updating for those who have asked for an update and were supportive to me. This will be my last post and I won't be posting again. Firstly, the deal with my dad is off the table. He couldn't even manage a week without overstepping my boundaries. So there will be no therapy sessions with him and I will remain no contact. As you are all aware after speaking to my dad and agreeing a way forward in my conditions. Keep Jay away from me, tell his kids to back off, don't pressure me or invade my space. It lasted all of 3 days. Everyone seemed happy I had forgiven my dad and told me so. My sister was excited I was willing to give him a chance and with some pressure I agreed to have dinner with just her and my dad. When my sister and I arrived at the restaurant to meet our dad, he was not alone. He had invited Jay, my grandparents, his son and daughter. He got up and tried to hug me. I immediately became upset asking why they were there. My dad told me that if we have any hope of repairing our relationship I had to accept Jay and my younger siblings. I told him he just broke our deal and to never contact me again and tried to leave. He refused to let me leave and grabbed hold of me. When I say all hell broke loose, I mean it. I started shouting at them. My dad, Jay and grandparents tried to gaslight me and convince me to sit down. When that didn't work, things got very heated and a shouting match started and a lot of unforgivable things were said by my dad and Jay, including remarks about my appearance and calling me a psychopath. My half-brother walked out of the restaurant and my half-sister started to cry. My sister actually surprised me and defended me, shouting at my dad for ruining things after all this time when I had finally given him a chance. She even slapped Jay. She got me out of there and apologized to me. I think this was the first time she had really seen how Jay was with me and how she treated me. She kept saying she couldn't understand how dad had spent years saying he would do anything to have me back and then would do this when he finally got his chance to rebuild the relationship. My dad has been trying to contact me but I have blocked him and refused to talk to him. I have also refused to speak to my grandparents. My dad has tried to convince my mom and sister to speak to me but I think he's burned his bridges with them. The incident from the restaurant has spread and some people seem to be backing off. Like I said, what my dad and Jay shouted at me was unforgivable and they were overheard and this is a small town. Hopefully people will back off and those who won't, I'm going to have to cut them out. My sister is very unhappy with my dad and Jay and not speaking to them. She is blaming them for me going no contact again. My sister is not letting them see her kids. I don't know if my sister will reconcile but right now she is furious. My mom is also furious and apparently had a few choice words with my dad and Jay and has promised she will never pressure me again to speak to him. I am going to go to individual therapy. I think I definitely need it. I do feel bad about my half-siblings as they haven't done anything wrong and I may be open to having a distanced kind of relationship with them in the future but I'm not ready yet or if I'll ever be. I did send them a message on Facebook to apologize and tell them they've done nothing wrong. Lastly, to update you all, in regards to my fiancé, well, I spoke to him yesterday about everything. I had been radio silent since walking out on him. Basically he was pressured by his father to speak to my dad and was fed a sob story of a misunderstood father desperately wanting to be in his daughter's life. Elle had become annoyed with me refusing to attend his family events and walking out of his mother's birthday party when I realized my dad and Jay was there as he was getting pressure from his family about me ruining their events. He just wanted everyone to be happy and get along, clearly at my expense. Elle admitted my dad had paid for some of the vendors for the wedding but he did not know this until after it was already paid. His father had told Elle that him and his mom had paid. My dad had told Elle it was a gift and his way of contributing. Elle admitted my dad had asked him to speak to me on his behalf. I told Elle he had betrayed my trust and I couldn't see myself marrying someone who does not support me. He broke down crying and apologizing to me and promising to never do it again. Elle was heartbroken and begged for a second chance. To those of you who wanted me to break up with him, I'm sorry to disappoint you but we are going to try and work through this. Apart from this issue, he had been the best partner and I genuinely think that he had been manipulated by his family and my dad. Elle has promised to stand up to his family and go no contact with my dad. I'm still living at my mom's as I still need some space which I won't have if I move home. We are going to contact our wedding vendors and see what our options are next week. Elle is begging for a postponement rather than cancel it altogether.